Good morning. Good morning. Oh, we're doing well this morning, you guys, and we are enjoying this tea journey. Papa Jim has gone to work this morning. He left before the sun came up and he's off on these icy roads. We're going to be underneath an ice warning today. So, prayers and good thoughts that he makes it home okay today because it will be dark when he gets home and we're under an ice warning. So, it will be some slippery driving when he comes home. So, I always worry until he gets in the driveway and gets home. So, everything has been shoveled as per our act of kindness last week. So, everything is shoveled. So we shouldn't have to worry about anything except it's going to have rain. We're going to have freezing rain. So everything that is nice and clean is now going to have a nice, clean, slick surface for him to contend with. Oh my goodness. Good morning, Tim. Good morning. So it is Monday, December 12th. I slept in, can you tell? Because I'm still in my jammies and I've got my colonial nightcap on. I thought I would just grab my colonial nightcap instead of attempting to do anything with my hair. And I warned you guys there would be times that I would be coming to you in a colonial nightcap. Just got off the phone with my very BFF best friend down in Tennessee, and she's got the crud. It's not the cinnamon vanilla crud, but she's got a little chest cold or something. So I was spending a little time with her on the phone. Hopefully she'll chime in here. Good morning, Denise. You're not late at all. I'm just getting the introductions going and saying hello to everybody. And I tell you, I'm tired. I don't know I think Saturday wiped us out. Yesterday, we took lots of little naps while we watched not Little House of Prairie, the Waltons. We watched the Waltons yesterday and just kind of relaxed. And today I did sleep in, but I've been up since about 8:30 getting some tasks done around the house here so that I could spend some time with you this morning. So let's get right to our tea. And then we'll do a few other things. I've got a couple things to tell you about. Papa Jim almost found himself in the doghouse last night. I got to tell you. But let's get to our tea. So here's our 24 days of tea, our little advent calendar. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just loving the little fox. I love the little fox so much. I just think this is so adorable. Do you see how many boxes are turned around? We've turned around 11 boxes. Today's going to be 12 out of 24 that we will turn around. Let me turn this back around so I can see it without making myself dizzy. And I found box 12 straight away. Let's pull box 12 out and see what kind of tea we have today. I did not make any coffee this morning. I did have a little something to eat in case it's a green tea so I don't upset my tummy. I've got my glasses. Good morning, Debbie. She had to check out the nightcap. She's not feeling well. She said she took some cough syrup, so she's not sure how long. Oh, I haven't even read the name of the tea yet. Let's look at the name of the tea. I see a whole clove right there. I see little bits of something that I don't know what it is yet. Let's see what the name of this tea is. This one is called Let It Snow. Oh my goodness, Let It Snow. We'll read the ingredients here in just 1 second. Let me open it and see what it smells like fresh out of the gate here. Give me 1 second. Oh, that's pretty. This is a pretty tea. Oh, my stars and garters. Oh, I could smell that all day long. Okay, let's get this in the infuser. I got to read what the ingredients are and get this going because this is a lovely tea. I cannot wait to drink this one. All right, Let It Snow. Let me see if I can find it here on the back of our box because we have our ingredients here. La, la, la. They have so many fun names, but I never really focus on them too long. Like, in 5 minutes, I won't remember what I read about the other teas, their names and stuff. I found Let It Snow. Let's see what we have here. We need smell-o-vision. We do. Okay, the ingredients are, where is Rochelle when we need Rochelle? Rochelle, today, Let It Snow. The very first ingredient is, does anybody want to guess what the very first ingredient is? Based on this weekend of enlightenment that you guys have been throwing back and forth. Very first ingredient, candied pineapple. Green tea, black currants, oh my goodness, apple, cinnamon, white chocolate, skim milk powder, whey powder, lactose, soy lecithin. Oh, that's in the whey powder. Oh, sorry. Vanilla, cloves, stevia extract, and natural flavoring. I always worry about the natural flavoring because you never know what they mean by natural flavoring. Is it castoreum? Do we got a little beaver butt going on in here? Got a little beaver butt juice? No, the number one ingredient was candied pineapple. So sorry I missed Saturday and Sunday tea. We were sorting and hauling calves Saturday morning and church on Sunday. It's okay, Gwen. We fully support the priorities. We understood. We knew that not everybody was going to be able to make it, and we fully support priorities of family, church, things that you've got to do. This is a secondary thing, and we fully get it. But since you're all here now, make sure you hit the thumbs up for me, will you? Please hit the thumbs up. Okay, so let's get our tea into our infuser. And of course, now the dog wants attention. She always does. Here's our little infuser. Be quiet. Be quiet. And look at this beautiful, beautiful tea. Do you see the clove and the candied pineapple? 1 second. Go to the train station. I swear I'm taking that dog to the train station. Okay, here we go. Let's get our beautiful little tea into our pretty little infuser here. Black currants, candied pineapple, cloves, a green tea blend. Oh gosh, big chunks of beautiful, beautiful stuff. A little bit more and then that'll about be half. Okay, oh, a little bit more. I think this one might be enough, one that I like enough that I might ask Papa Jim to get me an additional one. All right, so we've got it here in our infuser. It is so pretty. It smells delicious. Smells yum. Okay, what was our temperature supposed to be on this one? What was our temperature supposed to be? Where did it go? Let it snow. I can't see it that way. It is supposed to be 185 degrees, and we're going to steep it for 3 to 4 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get our tea kettle ready. I'm going to do that one there. It doesn't have 185 degrees. It has 180 and 190. I'm going to pick one, press start, and get that going. We'll set our tea aside until we're ready to add some water to it. And let's see. I got to tell you what happened this weekend with Papa Jim because I almost sent him out to the doghouse. I've got tea. I spilled tea on my laptop. So we were watching an episode of The Waltons yesterday. And of course, we just kind of been sitting and lazing all day and had breakfast together after we had our tea. I made him some biscuits and gravy and little sausage patties. And we were watching an episode of The Waltons, and little John Boy goes out to his dad out in the barn, and he says, "Dad, have you ever been in love?" Which I thought was the sweetest little, most innocent little question, because to ask your daddy, who's had 7 children with the same mama, and you know he loves that Mrs. Walton, and he goes, "Daddy, have you ever been in love?" And I thought that was just so sweet and innocent. And he goes, "Well, yes." And he goes, "Well, how did you know?" He says, "Well, you just know." And he says, he goes, are you still in love? And he says, "Yes, son, I'm still in love." He says, "You know, your mama, it's the last face I think of when I go to bed." And I said at the same time he said it, and I said, "And the first one you think of when you open your eyes." And I looked at Jim and I smiled. He goes, "Oh, you think of the dog too?" I said, "You think of your dog first thing in the morning, not your wife?" And he kind of cringed, you know. I said, "Oh boy, you're in trouble now." Okay, I need a mod, please. I thought we banned this guy. I thought we banned this idiot. Major, I think you've been wrenched. Take care of our friend, please. I would appreciate it. So Papa Jim says the last little face he sees when he goes to sleep and the first face he sees when he wakes up in the morning is his dog that I just threatened to take to the train station. So little ornery dude, boy, I tell you, he almost got in trouble with me there. So I thought we got rid of this guy. I guess this guy heard we have candied pineapple in our tea this morning. Thank you. Thank you, Major. I thought we blocked him last time. I know we removed him, but I thought we blocked him. Hopefully we can tell him to skedaddle, go take his business somewhere else. He's not wanted here. So this tea is so lovely. Oh gosh, I cannot wait to pour the water over that. You didn't see it? Well, we got him taken care of then. Good deal, good deal. What story should we read today from my blog? I haven't picked one out today. Oh, maybe we should read this one. This one deals with communication in a relationship. And since Papa Jim felt the need to let me know that the first thing he thinks of in the morning is his dog and not his wife, maybe there's a little miscommunication there. Maybe I need to read this one. Hubby tends to the dogs when he gets up. Yeah, but if you're talking about, being in love and your true love, and your wife reaches across the love seat and touches your arm and says, "Oh, honey, you're the first thing, I think of." And he says, "Oh, you think of the dog too." What? So I will read this story while our water is heating. This one's called The Heel. Have you guys ever heard the story of the heel? We'll read a little bit while the water's heating up, and then we'll read the rest of it while the water is steeping over our tea leaves. We'll show you how that looks when we pour the water over it. I was telling my best friend Debbie, who chimed in a little bit ago, hopefully the cough syrup hasn't hit her too hard, that she can see. I told her that we do the tea leaf dance. We love to watch everything dance in the infuser. Now with these heavy pieces of the cloves and the pineapple and the currants, I'm not sure how much of a dance we're going to get with this green tea, but we'll bring it down and we'll show that. But today's story is called The Heel. Yesterday, and this was written July 22nd, 2012. So 10 years ago, 10 and a half years ago. There's our water. We're not even getting the story started. Let's bring the camera down, do our tea leaf dance, and get this water over this beautiful blend. I'm going to bring the camera down. Here we go, right there. Look at that. You guys are going to be able to see all of the beauty right in here. So here we go. We've got our water heated to the proper temperature. Oh, look at our tea do its pretty dance. What a beautiful little tea. Oh, it smells really, really good too. I mean, you can see the whole cloves dancing around in there. I'm going to go ahead and close the lid on it so it steeps properly. I'm going to grab my phone so we can set the timer because we don't have our timer in here this morning. Rochelle must be at work. So let me set the timer for 5 minutes. And I'll get that started. I can't have it set ahead of time because I don't know what tea we're going to pull. So there we go. 5 minutes. We're going to let this tea steep while we read our story. So I'm going to push this off to the side a little bit. Oh, I cannot wait to take a sip of that tea. It smells so good. And let's read our story about the heel. If you've heard the story of the heel before, please put something in the chat so I know you've heard it, because I'd like to know if it's different than you've heard before or if it's the first time you've ever heard it. So here's the story of the heel. So as I was saying yesterday, on July 21, 2012, I attended a co-ed wedding shower for my son and soon-to-be daughter. Together, they are learning the trials and tribulations of life. They've already learned some valuable lessons and will, no doubt, continue to learn more as the days and years go by. As tradition will have it, many times family or friends will share with newly married couples the secret to a successful relationship. I always quip when asked that only one spouse is allowed to be crazy at a time. Generally, through my 29 years of marriage, the statement has applied to me. 29, 30, I think we're at 41 now. Oldies but goodies that are often shared are the ones we've always heard about before, like never going to bed angry, always kiss each other goodnight, learn to pray together. Those are good ones. But during the gathering yesterday at the bridal shower, a story was shared, a story that I had never heard before. It was a touching story, and the depth of the message caught many of us off guard. There was nary a dry eye in the house as the last words of this story were uttered. Oh, yes, Debbie knows this story. I researched the web a bit to see all I could find about this story so as to not have to recreate it from memory, but to perhaps, make sure I don't forget an important detail or two. I found several references to this story, but they all paled in comparison to the story that was relayed to us as we sat in the living room of the bride's family. So, with apologies for any oversights or omissions, thank goodness for the ability to edit should one arise. And thanks to the lovely woman who shared this rare and priceless gem. It will change the way I look at my own marriage for certain, and I hope it speaks to all who read it here. So here is the story. Just like all blogs, it takes a while before you finally get to the meat of the matter. So the story is called The Heel. A man and a woman had been married for more than 60 years, quite an accomplishment in and of itself. Certainly they had learned and implemented every tool needed to have a loving, successful marriage. At the end of every day, while the wife prepared their tea, how appropriate, she prepared tea, and we're brewing our tea right now. The husband would lovingly toast and butter a piece of bread for each of them so they would have something in their stomachs before retiring for the evening. For years, as he would reach into the bread loaf, he would occasionally be presented with a regular slice of bread to toast and the heel of the bread to toast, butter, and serve it with jam or maybe even honey. The husband would automatically and without fail always place the toasted heel in front of his wife. For 60 years, the wife had held her tongue with regards to the fact that she found this to be a selfish act, and it bothered her greatly. She hated the heel. How many of you hate the heel? How many? But on this day, as she stared at the heel of bread in front of her, she could hold her silence no longer. Maybe it was the stress of the day that had gotten to her. Maybe she was simply tired. But his giving her the heel of the loaf of bread once again had gotten to her, and she was going to let him have a piece of her mind. She let off. Why do you always give me the heel when you keep the normal piece of bread to yourself? You have done this our entire marriage, and I can't take it anymore. There's our thing. She says, I can't take it anymore. How self-centered and selfish of you. I hate the heel. Let's pause right there with this woman having her meltdown at her poor husband who made her the tea. Oh, yes. Good morning, Michelle. You missed all the excitement. I love the heel too. Hello, Julia from Argentina. We'll get back to our story in 1 second. Let's go ahead and get our tea into our cup. I'm going to bring the camera back down. I've still got a little bit of a tea dance. We're a little bit over 5 minutes, but let's go ahead and dispense into our teacup and see what our tea's looking like today. You can see I only rinsed out my cup. I've still got like lip gloss on it from yesterday. I'm a bad tea mama. Okay, it's not very dark today, and I think that's because we've only got a green tea with the cloves, the spices, the black currants, and hello, the candied pineapple. Rochelle, candied pineapple in our tea today. And it's just a very light colored tea. Let's smell it. Oh, it smells nice. Oh, that smells nice. I don't know if it's too hot for me to take a sip, but let's try. Oh my gosh. That is lovely. That's lovely. Has just a little bit of a bite to it from the candied pineapple and the cloves and the black currant. Yum. It is. It smells lovely. Can you smell it, Major? Yes, there is an abundance of pineapple. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's get back to our story. I'm really getting lost in the chat. But yes, we have pineapple in our tea today. David's Tea likes their pineapple. Those Canadians, I'm telling you, it's from Canada. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Diddly-dee. Let's get back to our story. Oh, I've cut the top of my head off. I'm distraught in the fact that I cut the top of my head off. Where we left off, this woman has just berated her husband to no end for serving her the heel of the loaf of bread. She has really given him a piece of her mind. She has let him have it after 60 years of enduring this terrible atrocity. So she yells at him about how much she hates the bread and how selfish he is. The husband sat across from his wife, listening, not uttering a word, with his head hung low, while she demeaned him the entire time for his lack of consideration that had spanned 6 decades. And when she had finished making her point, with tears in his eyes, he lifted his head and he spoke. The heel has always been my favorite piece of bread. I have given you the heel of the loaf all of these years because I love you. I thought you liked it. I thought you knew it was my way of showing you how much I loved you. Isn't that a sad story? Miscommunication. The moral of the story here, dear friends, is just how important the art of communication is in any relationship. Communicate to each other. Just because something makes perfect sense to you doesn't mean that your family, your friend, your coworker, or your loved one fully understands your intentions. I'm so thankful that this story was shared with my son and his bride and all of their guests on that day. It is an important and invaluable lesson in the early stages of marriage. I share my love to both of you, and I know you're going to be just fine. And just remember to leave all the craziness to this mama. And I post at the very end saying, I feel free for everybody to pass that little story along. It's a valuable one. So having read that story and having discussing about how I was ready to have Jim go sleep in the doghouse last night based on his comment, I read that, and as I'm reading it, I reflected back to after he had made that statement. And this is the honest to God's truth. This is what happened yesterday. I'm feeling a little bit of a sting of him saying that, the first thing he thinks of when he wakes up in the morning is his dog and not his wife. I remember last night before he went to bed, we have 2 couches. The dog was on one couch and she was like upside down, just waiting for her little belly to be rubbed. And he got on his knees and he crawled over to the dog and he snuggled up against her and he loved her, just loved on her and gave her some kisses and patted her belly. And I was sitting there watching him and I thought, how wonderful is it, really, truly? How wonderful is it that I'm married to a man that loves animals? He loves animals. He's kind to animals. He treats them well. He spoils them. He loves them. And I remember when I first met Papa Jim, and I don't even know if we were dating yet, but I remember we were at someone's house and somebody had a baby, and I remember him holding the baby and thinking, oh, he holds the baby so tender. He's going to be a good dad. So, okay, he loves his dog. He always has loved his dogs beyond measure. And I need to look at the beauty in that he is an animal lover. And that means he's got a good, kind soul. So the name of the tea, Let It Snow. Yes. He doesn't have to get up and take you to the bathroom, right? That's the hard thing right now is for some reason the dogs are getting us up all hours of the night to go out 3, 4, 5 times a night. It's exhausting us. Love is love, and people do whatever it takes. Yes. Taste division is required for this tea today, isn't it? Yes. Okay, so this really is, take that to heart, guys. Think about your communication. Somebody might not understand what it is you're trying to get across to them when you try to either tell them or show them or display to them what they mean to you. Okay. This is nice. Let's take another sip. Oh, that temperature is perfect. Those are some good flavors. I like this tea. Yes, let it snow. Green tea with vanilla, candied pineapple, black currants, whole cloves, and I'm sure plenty of other things I've already forgotten because my brain. I don't know what it is about the dogs right now, Denise. That's why the dogs wake him up, because they want the extra attention and love. Oh, that's nice. I put the dog out, told her to go enjoy her day. She started barking and come back in. She stayed out for a little bit. It's not snowing or raining yet. She can run around and have a little fun on the farm before she comes in. You are sipping a rose black tea. Yum. That sounds good too. I tell you, Papa Jim's already throwing a couple things in the cart to get for, the next time he puts an order in for David's tea. I see now, you guys know when we've been doing these teas, I will take a sip and then I put it down and I get caught up in all these other things and then I don't do anything with my tea. I keep grabbing this one. Oh, it's snowing in London and the major could not get to his appointment today. Goodness. Gwen says, I look at our wiener dogs like this. Hubby had one when he was a little boy. He bought our first one, a tiny puppy, for me on our 15th anniversary. Me not ever thinking I liked the breed. Oh, 38 years later, and they are on number 6 and 7. Oh, and Denise made a jasmine tea this morning. I love that you guys are making teas and joining me for tea time by brewing up your own cup of tea. How much fun is that? Hey, let's look at the Advent calendar that our little 6th graders have put together. Are you guys enjoying the little kindness Advent calendar from these little kids? I love seeing their little artwork and what they put together. And, I love the verbiage that they put in their little things because some of it's redundant and some of it is just so innocently cute. And I just love anyone. Don't tell anyone I think it's okay. I didn't want to go anyways. Oh, that's okay. How many of us aren't happy sometimes when it's like we've got an appointment to go to and then we get something that happens, we can't go and we're like, phew, good, I didn't want to go. I won't tell anybody, Major, you're good. Okay, so here's our Advent calendar. Today is the 12th. I need to reload it because it hasn't pulled up the 12th for us yet. Snowing in London. Oh, took a beautiful walk in the park. Oh, doesn't that sound lovely? I bet you that was beautiful, Equus. Oh, I would love that. We've got snow on the ground, but it's slippery, so I'm not going anywhere to walk today. I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to bake a loaf of bread. I was going to do that this morning too. I was going to try to get my ingredients together and mix together a batch of bread while I was speaking with you this morning, and I didn't get to it. But I'm going to put a loaf of bread in my turkey roaster today. I like using my turkey roaster to bake my bread. It works perfectly fine. And so I'm going to bake a beautiful loaf of bread. And I think for dinner tonight, since it's going to be cold and rainy and slippery and icy and all that stuff, I know Papa Jim's going to want a nice warm dinner when he comes home. So I'm going to make a potato corn chowder. I think he would really like that. They wanted to surgically remove one of your fingernails. Major. Papa Jim had that done to one of his toes, and I don't want to see it. Don't want to know about it. I'm glad you didn't go in, but hopefully if you do need to get that taken care of, I hope you're able to. Hopefully it's not something that's going to have an infection or anything. Ugh, my goodness. Your wiener dogs are a symbol of his love way back. Your wiener dogs are a symbol of his love way back to your 15th anniversary. I don't ever want to be without one or two. You love the breed. How sweet. My brother loves wiener dogs. And his first wiener dog, the wiener dog's name was Tufani. And Tufan and they called her Tufani. And Tufan means little red sandstorm in Farsi. And that little dog would just run everywhere. And so she was like a little red sandstorm. So in Farsi, it was little red sandstorm. And that little thing, she would jump up and she would just bite you on the nose right here, almost like she was going to pierce your nose right here in the center. And she'd just hang on, and she wouldn't bite all the way through, but she'd get you. Oh, the Major mentioned that he hurt his finger the other day. You didn't slip over. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know either, but it's going to happen sooner or later. Oh, I avoided seeing Papa Jim's toe this entire time. And this happened, I don't know, months ago. And when we went on our trip, I said, oh, put all of your pictures over onto my laptop so I can start working on some videos. And all of those pictures that he took during the surgery and after the surgery, darn near tossed all of my oatmeal this morning, or that morning when I saw them, because it was not nice. How big is this collection of nails? Thankfully, just the one. Okay, so here is day 12 of our Act of Kindness Advent calendar from the 6th grade classes from Mr. Dool's and Mr. Gazelle's class. And I think this is in France somewhere. The École Glenmore Elementary. Not sure where it is, but they always seem to have the little subtitles in French. So I think it's an English-French dual class. All right, so here is our challenge for today. Give someone homeless something warm. And there's a little cup in the snow of some cocoa with marshmallows. During these holidays, many homeless people are suffering from the cold, the snow, and would love it if you would help them out this Christmas. Imagine living outside in the cold, about to freeze, and nobody is helping you, and someone nice, soon to be you, comes up to you with a warm, cozy blanket or a coat for you to finally be warm after a long winter of getting frostbite. Does it make their day? It doesn't even have to be something expensive like a coat or a blanket. You could just easily make homemade hot cocoa at your own home. These little kids are so sweet. First, you need to go to the store or to your house and buy or find something warm you don't mind giving away. Then you must go and give one of those items to someone homeless. It will fill your heart with pride when you see their smiles that you gave to them. Oh, and here's another. This guy got a nice coat. Look, he got one of those puffy coats. It says, thank you so much. He's got cocoa and a coat from somebody. It's so sweet. These little kids are so sweet. Their hearts are so precious. So yes, that's your challenge for today. If you see someone who is in need of something warm, and you don't know their circumstances, and you also need to do this with caution and care, because I've done this before. It doesn't always go well. But I think one thing that is a nice thing to do is if you have an extra scarf, which I need to make some up and take them into the park in town and just put them on a tree with a little tag that says, if you're cold, you can have this scarf. You could keep an extra blanket in your car. Now, what I like to do is when I'm out and about in the holiday season and I see the bell ringers out in the cold ringing the bells for the Salvation Army, I will buy them a cocoa or a coffee. That's always a nice thing to do. They don't necessarily have to be homeless, just maybe somebody out in the cold. One thing to remember, and I know this from firsthand experiences, not necessarily from where we live right here, but my boys and I did a blanket drive for a couple of years where we would collect blankets. And then when we were out and about, if we saw someone who was down on their luck out in the street, we would give them a blanket, and they loved it. And they were so thankful and grateful. And I thought it was a really important lesson for my boys to see that, the generosity and the caring of another human being. And we were driving around one day, and I saw someone I recognized as someone that I'd given a blanket to, and he had nothing with him. And we stopped and talked to him. I said, where's your blanket? And he goes, well, the police arrested me for sleeping in the park, and they took my blanket and they threw it away. So when they pick up someone who's homeless and they arrest them, they take all that stuff and they get rid of it. And then they don't get that back when they get back out on the street. So think about that. This is in the same community in Southern California where we lived, where we didn't get snow like what we get here, but the temperatures would dip down at night. And there used to be a couple of churches that would have the doors open all night long for those who needed to get in off the street. And one of the homeless men in our town, he went to the wrong church. And they found him the next morning on the steps of a church where the doors were locked, and he had passed away in the middle of the night from the cold. So, oh goodness, Grandma's milk cow stepped on it. And when I got my foot back, the toenail was gone. Oh, you guys, this conversation's killing me. Talking of blankets, says the major. Yes, I'm working on blanket. Don't worry. Well, the thing is, even though they should at least donate it, the thing is if you've got somebody homeless living in the streets, you don't know what's on that blanket. It could be lice. It could be filthy. It could have excrement on it. So they throw it away. They take their stuff and they throw them away. But, one of the scarier moments I ever had where we lived, I had taken the kids to school. I'll tell you this whole story. I had taken the boys to school that morning. And, when you pull up in the lane to drop everybody off and the van door slides open and kids spill out and then the door slams, you're like, have a good day. And, there's just a sea of kids. You don't see where everybody is. And off they go. And I went on to go about my day. And I had my youngest one in the car seat in the middle row behind me. And we were going to go spend the day with my friend Debbie, who chimed in earlier. I don't know if she's still here. And I was going to stop over at my husband's work first. So I parked in the parking lot across the street from my husband's job. And there was like a music store and the Goodwill and a bank in that parking lot. And I had taken the baby out of the car. He was maybe 2 years old. I mean, he was a toddler. He was enough where he could walk alongside me as he held my hand. And as we exited the car, there was a homeless man that we all knew. We didn't know him personally, but we were all aware of this one particular homeless man that would kind of roam the downtown area. And he was walking around and it was chilly enough. He had no shoes. It was in the, the fall, maybe like November, but he had no shoes. He only had socks on. And that was concerning me. So he's walking in front of the Goodwill store and I didn't necessarily approach him, but our paths kind of crossed. And I said, good morning to him. And he said, hello. I said, where are your shoes? And he says, they took them. They took them. I said, who took them? He goes, the police took them. I said, well, my goodness, that's not right. I said, let's go in and get you some shoes. I'll buy you some shoes. When the Goodwill opens, I'll buy you some shoes. And I'm standing, just a couple feet from him. I didn't feel threatened by him at all. And I said to him, you had something to eat. So that's good. He still had like whipped cream or something on his overgrown mustache from where somebody gave him a donut or something, like a cream-filled donut. It was all over his face. And he just kept going on and on about how they took his shoes. And I kept trying to redirect him to the fact that I'm going to buy you some shoes. But he was agitated. You could tell he was agitated. And I said, why don't you come with me and we'll go into the store and I'll buy you some shoes. And he grabbed me. Grabbed me and pulled me into his face. And he goes, why don't you just, and he said something really, really naughty. So naughty, I can't say it here. Why don't you just do this to me? And I'm holding on to my baby. I've got my baby in one hand and he's pulled me up and he's assaulted me. Why don't you just do this? Oh. Then I was scared. I got free from him, went across the street to my husband's work, and I marched right up to my husband. I said, you go over there right now and beat up that man, because this is what he said to me. I said, go right now. He says, honey, if I go over there right now, I'm going to jail. If I go approach this man for what he just said to you, I'm going to jail. He goes, we'll just call the authorities and let them handle it because he physically assaulted you. You shouldn't have done that. And he was very, very rude and vulgar with what he said to me. So the police came and I spoke to the police. They found him. He didn't run. I think he knew what he was doing because he knew he'd get arrested and he'd have a place to sleep and a nice warm blanket in the jail and, something to eat and a place to sleep and 3 hots and a cot for a day or two. But they found him in the Goodwill just sitting down playing the piano. He was just waiting to be arrested. So I was shaken. Like I was shaken because it's rare that somebody will physically assault me like that. And then to say the thing that he said to me, which would be bad enough if it was just me. But when I've got my little baby with me and he did that, it really scared me. So be careful if you do help someone. Just know that there's mental illness out there. Do it safely, but still have a kind heart. I mean, I still help, but I also know that things can turn in a heartbeat. So I put the baby back in the car and I drive down to my friend, Debbie, who was here earlier, and we were going to have lunch or something. Well, while I'm driving down this stretch of 2-lane highway that's notorious for head-on collisions, something moves in the back of my car. There's something in the very back of my car. Scared me to death. I nearly drove off the road. Screamed, swerved, pulled off. I'm thinking that there's now a homeless man in my car and I'm going to have to grab the baby and run, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, this is a stretch of, even though there's a lot of head-on collisions, it's not like there's a house to run to or anybody to offer any assistance other than the cars passing by. I'm thinking I'm a goner. It's my oldest son. On the way to school, he had leaned over in the back seat and fell asleep. And I didn't know. And all the other kids spilled out of the car and ran off to school. And he was asleep in the back seat this whole time. And then he woke up while I'm driving down this stretch of highway. Oh, scared me to death. I could have sent him to the train station. My brother-in-law was assaulted by a lady downtown. She tried to get money from him. And when he said no, she grabbed his good camera. He was doing street photography and damaged his lens, and he got a black eye. My goodness. That's why I'm not a big fan of donating to a food pantry or other charity that helps the needy. Oh, goodness, Gwen, what happened there? Because I'm behind. A friend's daughter for her 10th said she didn't want anything for herself. She wanted to help the homeless. So they collected blankets, gloves, scarves, etc., and went to Little Rock and handed them out. Gwen says that's wrong. They're supposed to put their personal belongings in a locked locker and return them just as they would anyone else's personal items. I agree. And I did take that to the city council. I really did do that, Gwen. Because they should have returned his blanket but the thing is I know, as wrong as it is, they were trying to really dissuade the homeless from that area. So it's like, well, you can't sleep here. You don't have a blanket. But it was wrong. They shouldn't have done that. Look after yourself before others. Never put yourself at risk. And that was one thing I learned there is I was trying to help. My heart was in the right place. He's just, you're thinking he's somebody's grandpa. It's not going to hurt anything. But he turned on me. He could have hurt me. He could have hurt my son. Oh, I saw something moving. It's the dog. He could have hurt my son. He could have hurt me. And so now I just have a little bit more of a distant approach in helping. But, and I think that's really where it's good, where if you crochet or if you have extra scarves or blankets, you can take them into the town center and put them on a tree with a little note that says, if you're cold, here's a blanket for you, or here's a jacket, or here's a scarf. You can donate to one of the charities that help the homeless. You can do things like that. But just be careful about it, because I did find myself on the wrong end of a grimy paw that day. Yeah, I'm thinking it might have been, by the time they got it, it might have just been too filthy. So that was scary, though. I just about drove off the road when that happened. Oh, my goodness. And I won't give people money, but I will give them food. If somebody's truly hungry, I will get them food. But I won't give money, because I've been witness to see what they do. So, I mean, working at a high school and you get the runaways and you hear the runaway stories and you know what they end up doing. It's not a good place to be. The thing is, especially here, they have so many programs for people that need help that those that are on the street are usually suffering from mental health. That's exactly it. Even though there's help available, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll take it or know to take it or want to take it. There's a lot of mental illness out there, so you have to be careful. Most police departments have a washer and a dryer. Just talked about Hello New Beginnings, your Anne of Green Gables reading on my live, enjoying it. Oh, I'm glad I've got my next couple chapters recorded. I just need to edit them and get them up. I'm glad you're enjoying them. I'm really enjoying reading the book. And I shared with Papa Jim, we have to get our passports in order because someday I would like to go to Prince Edward Island and actually go to the Green Gables and look around and stuff. And I think that would be a lot of fun, especially since we just went to Laura Ingalls Wilder's home. I think it would be fun next to go to Green Gables there in Prince Edward Island. We have to get our passport in order. First and foremost, we have to, what's the word I'm looking for? We have to recover from our last trip financially and physically. We're exhausted and we spent more money than we actually allocated for. Sounds like him sleeping in the car. I'm still here, but going to sleep. Do you remember that day, Debbie, when I showed up for lunch at James with me and the baby because James fell asleep in the car? Scared me to death. You'd love to see that. I'd love to see that too. I'd love to go to all of these neat little places. And now we're watching the Waltons. So he says, oh, we need to go to Virginia. So all of these little fun things. But yes, the major mentioned the blanket earlier. I'm about ready to edit, I believe, week 32 on the blanket. And I think I'm ready to edit, is it chapter 13 on Anne of Green Gables? I just have editing to do. I've got to get that done. When we went to, I've been working on some other crochet projects because we had this Civil War Christmas party to go to. I didn't wear my snood that I made because my hair, I haven't colored it lately. So it's not the vibrant color that I love. And I just didn't think it looked good with the red, even though I loved the Christmas red of the snood. I didn't wear it. So I'll be working on something else. But I was going to work on a wrap, a Mobius wrap. But let me show you what I'm working on. I actually brought it. I'm working on a Sontag. Who knows what a Sontag is? Does anybody know what a Sontag is? Has anybody enjoyed watching the series Outlander? If you've watched Outlander, you may have seen the main heroine, Claire. She has a crochet or knitted wrap that she wears quite often. It's called a Sontag. It's almost like a poncho or a shawl, but instead of just a shawl where you just kind of wrap it over your arms and then, so for instance, I have a couple of shawls that I like to wear and, you put them around and they kind of come over your arms and you just wear them. It's like a triangle shawl. But, if I'm going to go out and take care of the chickens or I have tasks to do and it's chilly here in the farmhouse sometimes, I don't like always having to hold that. If a breeze comes by or I have to bend down and do a chore or something and the shawl falls off, then it gets dirty or stickers or who knows what. And so I was looking into getting something like what Claire has because it looks like it's a little bit more constructed a little more firmly, something where you can actually do tasks without having to worry about holding your shawl all the time. So I'm making what's called a Sontag. And a Sontag is basically the same thing as a triangle shaped shawl, but it has ties at the very end of the triangle. So when you wrap it in front of you, just like a regular triangle shawl, your arms are free to do the tasks you need to do. And it has little ties that wraps around the back and you can just tie it in a little bow in the back. So you have the long triangle covering your back and then you can just tie the sides across. So it just wraps you in a nice warm hug, keeps your shoulders warm. You can do your tasks and you don't have to worry about dropping your shawl. So I'm working on a Sontag and I want to show you the really pretty, this is just an acrylic yarn that I've decided to do this in. And I love it because it's called Aran Fleck. And it's so pretty. Look at the beautiful fibers. Let me see if I can get that just right. It has tans. And see that black right there? How it's just kind of like, it almost looks like it's, I don't know. It looks like it's been distressed a little bit already. It almost looks like more of a fleecy type of a fabric, even though it's only, it's an acrylic. But see, like right here, there's little flecks of brown right here. There's little flecks of black. And I like this particular colorway because if I get a little doggy hair on it or something, it's not going to stick out like if I had something that was done solely in black or something like I was originally going to plan. But I haven't even tried it lately to see how close I am to getting it done. Let's see here. Oh, I've got a long way to go on this one. I've got a long way to go on this one. So it will eventually have a very nice scalloped edging here. It will go all the way down my back to cover and keep me warm there. And then these will come across and they will tie across the back. So it will keep my shoulders warm, keep my neck warm, keep my back warm. And when they tie, then I won't have to hang on to them. Because if this was just a regular poncho, even at a full length, or not poncho, just a shawl, I'd have to keep this from blowing off or slipping off or, but this will be secured. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And they have another name. I've been doing a little bit of research on them. Thank you, guys. And it will be nice and snuggly. It'd be nice to have here in the farmhouse on days where I want to get things done and not have to worry about wearing a full jacket, but not having to worry about keeping a shawl on my shoulders. It's called a bosom buddy because it wraps around the front and ties in the back. It just kind of keeps you nice and warm. I looked for a fabric pattern for one for a Sontag. I decided to just crochet one. So this is one that I've been working on it for a couple of days now. I think it'll take maybe a couple more days, the rest of that ball of yarn and another skein. And then I'll have a really nice little Sontag that, and when I get it done, I'll wear it to one of our tees. Okay. I'll wear it to one of our tees and I'll show you how it fits and how it looks. And I'm looking forward to it. And I really like that yarn. I've just been watching a program about the fake house they used for the series. New Beginnings for which series are you talking about? For Anne of Green Gables or Little House on the Prairie or the Waltons? Which one? You just wear a wool bra. That's a bosom buddy. That was bad. Oh, New Beginnings. I'm reading my Nan's autobiography on my other channel, born in 1918. Very nice. That is nice. I would like to get a hold of my family's book and read it. I do have coming up, and thank you for saying that, New Beginnings, because that makes me think of, I used to clean house for an elderly couple, and he was in World War II, and he wrote his memoirs down, and I got permission from his family to read his memoirs. So I'm going to be doing that. And then I have the memoirs from a Civil War soldier from Iowa, and I've received permission from his great-great-grandson to read those letters. So I'll be doing that as well. But I have to finish Anne of Green Gables first. So, and I know I'm a little behind. I'm a little behind on Anne of Green Gables. I'm a little behind on The Blanket, but there will be more installments coming soon, I promise. In my area, there is a lot of fake homeless. Yes, they park their cars and then they beg at the intersection. I will help with food, not money, unless I really feel led to. I agree with that, Tim. I agree with that. There was one time before I was diagnosed with cancer, there was one time that Papa Jim and I we were coming out of a shopping center and there was a girl standing in the corner. She was young, maybe 17, maybe, bald head. And she was holding a sign that said she had cancer and that she needed help. People were giving her money right and left. And I kind of looked at Jim. I said, should we help her? He goes, nope, not going to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, how heartless. I was like, why? He goes, because she has eyebrows, eyelashes, and she has stubble. So I don't really believe she's in chemo. I thought, that's a good point. That's a good point. So, somebody's willing to shave their hair for $500 a day. You never know. I will say, though, that when I was undergoing chemo and I lost all my hair, I lost all the hair in my nose, I lost all my eyelashes, but I kept my eyebrows till the very end. And then one day I woke up and they were like, just like little dandelions that blow away in the wind. One day my eyebrows just went poof, and they were gone. No eyebrows. Oh, she's replying to your comment about the Hamner house that is still standing. Okay. Waltons. Yes, the Waltons. The series was filmed out in California. Their home was below the Hollywood Hills sign, the sign that says Hollywood. And I was telling Papa Jim about this, because reading about the other day, there was a firefighter turned arson who set the hill on fire, and the original home that they had used for the Waltons series was burnt to the ground, and then they reconstructed another one. And then that house was then used in the series Gilmore Girls, which Debbie will be interested to hear because she's a fan of the Gilmore Girls. That was the Firefly Inn in the Gilmore Girls. You need one for church. Beyond me why they would think it needs to be 60 degrees in there. Well, you got to keep praying, got to keep warm, got to keep moving. Get that worship team going so you can stay warm at church. Years ago, we watched a lady have a 1 month pregnancy. She changed the sign and the pillow under her coat each day. So she was 9 months by the end of the month. Very nice. The Hamner family is who the Waltons were based off of. Yes. Um, New Beginnings in England, I saw a man with no legs begging on the pavement. When it began pouring with rain, he got up and walked off to his car. Isn't that terrible? There are so many scams. Isn't it awful? Because that really hurts the people that really need it. And, um, personal experiences, when we first moved here to this little community, we weren't here very long before we had heard about a mother who had scammed the entire community for her daughter with her cancer diagnosis and the cancer needs and the money and the trip to Disneyland and all the things the community pulled together and did for this little girl that had cancer, only to find out she didn't have cancer. The mother had scammed the entire community. People were mad. People were really mad. And then, a year later, I'm diagnosed with cancer. And there was a local business that said, we're going to do a fundraiser for you to help out with gas and things like that. It's very lovely. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So they had the fundraiser, but nobody participated because they'd just been scammed. So my situation was genuine. I had decent insurance. We still paid thousands upon thousands upon thousands out of our pocket. And, trip to go get the chemo and everything. That's an 80-mile round trip. So every little bit did help, but nobody helped because they'd been scammed. So it's really hard when somebody scams you. It's hard to open up that giving mode again and that generosity when somebody's done that. Have you read the Jalna series? It's based on a family in Ontario, not far from me, down by Lakeshore. I read the series when I was in high school and lived in Oregon. Knew it was by Big Lake. I've not. I don't know which one that is. Okay, Different Mother and Girl. Different Mother and Girl. That one was down in Springfield, Missouri. I know which one you're thinking of, I believe, New Beginnings. You're thinking about the girl that killed her mother that had Munchausen by proxy, and they scammed a whole bunch of people. If that's the one you're thinking of. Then after I'd lived here a few years, I went to a job down in that area and started noticing all the street names were the characters from her books. Oh, let me type that in. Let me put my glasses on. I want to make sure I'm reading it right, Rochelle. Jalna, the Jalna series. Because I can get that from the library. If you think it's a good read, I'll look into it. Let me put it in my notes so I've got it, so I don't forget it. Find Jalna books. It's a series recommended by Rochelle. I'll look into that, Rochelle. Okay, I'll look into that because that sounds like that would be something interesting. So, but back to our days of kindness. Now, see, isn't this something? I'm so thankful that these little ones that put together this Advent calendar of kindness want you to take these others into consideration, those who are a little less fortunate. We don't understand their circumstances, but to do something kind for them. And again, that can be getting a pair of gloves, scarf, hat, sweater, jacket, blanket, maybe go to a public park, put it on a park bench with a little note attached to it saying, this is for you if you're cold, and they can gather it. And that way, maybe you don't put yourself in harm's way. So consider that. Also, if you see someone who could really benefit from a hot cup of coffee, help them with that. Or those bell ringers, make sure you get them a hot cup of coffee or a cocoa. They would like that as well. Scammers are everywhere. I keep getting emails saying, I need to confirm my Amazon order. I know, me too. But I guess many would open that email. Beware, friends. Yes, you're luring me to Canada, aren't you, Rochelle? Look at you. You can tour the house it was based on. I'm going to look for that. The first book is the best. One thing I want to share with you guys, since we're talking on the unfortunate thing of scammers and spammers and all those things, there's a new thing going around right now. I want to warn you guys about it. People are posting like on the public, like marketplace sites, like for your community, the buy, sell, trade groups. They're posting, oh my gosh, I found this little dog and I need to find its owner. I just found it on the corner here in this town. And there's usually like a little the greater than less sign, that's the signal for the people who are copying and pasting to insert the new town. And, oh, I need to find it. And then you feel so bad for the little dog that's got some, an injury or something, and you share it because you want to find the owner. Well, when you do that, you've just invited a scammer into your world. They now have access to your friends list. And there's no such dog that's been injured in that area that they need to find a home for. If you see something that you are leery of, click on the original poster's profile. 9.9 times out of 10, you're going to see that they just created that profile. There's nothing else on that profile. It's got, it's either blocked or nothing, or they're not even from your area. There's nothing to learn about them, and they just created it, and now they're fishing for all of that information. One that's really going around that you've got to watch for is if it has any type of the little emojis, and the big emoji is the red popsicle, the red lollipop. If it's like, oh my gosh, we need to help find the parents of this little girl. She was hit by a car, and we don't know who she is because she doesn't have any ID on her. We need to find her parents, and it's got a red lollipop on it, and everybody shares it. It's a human trafficking thing. You've got to stay away from those. And one of them recently that made the rounds that I've seen in 2 or 3 different friends sharing it is the little girl's been hit. The driver fled the scene. We need to find the driver. Let's get this little girl some justice. One of the pictures is a picture from like a dash cam of the little girl hitting the front of the car on her bicycle. If the driver fled, how'd they get the dash cam picture? Really? And it's got the little red lollipop on it, and everybody's sharing it, and they're opening themselves up to scammers. Don't do it. Don't do it. The Major's battery has died, but he is still watching. Okay, good deal. Yes, please hit the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Wow, don't share because you're opening your friends to unknowns. Absolutely. If you think it's something that is legit, go to the original post, check it out, because I had someone in one of our groups share about that little girl down south that was missing, that the FedEx driver accidentally hit her, and then he took matters into his own hands, and he shouldn't have done what he did. It was wrong. But I had somebody want to share that in one of our larger groups. And it's like, I don't know if this is a scam or not. So I did a little research, and I found out it was valid. It was a real Amber Alert. They were looking for this little girl. So I allowed that to be shared because everybody needed to be on the lookout for that little girl. But, before you share something like that, if it's about a child, if it's about a missing senior citizen, if it's about a missing dog or a found dog that's hurt, they pull on your heartstrings, and you share it on your page, and you've just opened everybody up to scammers. So just be aware of that. With all of this AI technology, who knows what's real anymore? Absolutely. Common sense would tell you the police or sheriff's department would post these types of posts, not just the regular Joe Blow. Absolutely. Absolutely. Or the news stations. So keeping in mind, though, there are times where a teen will go missing in the news stations and the police aren't going to help yet. So on some of those local marketplace or news, little news or sell or trade outlets in small little communities, they will put some things up. I've seen that in the town where we used to live. Tina is missing. She's 15. She didn't come home from school, but it's a legit person. You can look at their profile and see that, okay, yeah, this is a real concern. But the ones that are not the real concerns, they usually have emoticons. Usually when you read it, there might be some broken English. It doesn't sound right. Just look into those before you put them out there. Okay, guys? Who's trafficking seniors? Depends. You see what I did there? No, they're using it for the heartstrings to get people to share stuff so they can get your information. Or if you feel led to share, do a screenshot instead of sharing the original post. Yes, because then you're not opening up your friends list to people getting in there and doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Good point. Good point. This is a really nice little tea. Really nice little tea. I don't know if I have enough for a second serving on this because I poured so much into the first one. So again, this one's called Let It Snow. It's a beautiful little tea blend with the cloves and the candied pineapple and the black currants. Green tea. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my tea. I'm going to take a breather, and then I'm going to work on my kitchen and get some laundry done today. Will I keep my colonial cap on? I don't know. Will I wear it tomorrow? Who's to say? Will I have my Sontag done by tomorrow? Only if I ignore my chores. So if I wear it tomorrow, you know I ignore my chores. If I don't wear it tomorrow, you know I got some chores done, got my potato corn chowder done for Papa Jim before he came home, and I'll work on my Sontag another day. Got to go check with your daughter. Oh, with your dough. I thought that was an abbreviation for daughter, and then you said it exploded. I'm like, what? Got to go check on your dough. It exploded out of the top of your container this morning. Your video on Instagram coming soon. Oh, something to be said for living on a small island. Yes. 1 year, a Salvation Army bell ringer at WM, we all know what that was a man trying to better himself by working, and it had gotten cold. My dad went and bought coveralls, gloves, etc., and gave it to him. Memories of Dad. Isn't that beautiful, Tim? Your dad was a beautiful man. Making some meat sauce for dinner. You mean lunch? Is it dinner? You guys tell me this. Where you live? Where you live? Let's do a little geographical learning session before we say goodbye for the day. So while I'm saying this, if you haven't hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. But before we leave, we all have breakfast, right? I would like some comments in the chat. What do you call your midday meal? And what do you call your evening meal? I grew up calling my midday meal lunch and my evening meal dinner. Not my evening meal. My evening meal dinner. Here in the Midwest, the midday meal is dinner and the evening meal is supper. So I still get them confused even after living here for 10 years. But I remember when I would come visit my grandpa and he would say it was time for dinner. It's like, hey, it's 11 o'clock. What's happening? I'd always get them mixed up. So, oh yes, I know what the WM meant. I just didn't know if I could say it without them getting in a tizzy because they're kind of getting... There's a lot going on at Walmart, guys. I don't know. I mean, I support the little man as much as I can, but when you got to go to Walmart, I'll say it now. When you got to go to Walmart, you got to go to Walmart. But some of them are threatening to close because they're really undergoing quite a bit of theft and it's affecting them. Breakfast, lunch, and supper, according to Tiny Tim. We call lunch for midday and dinner for evening meal here, but our neighbors from Newfoundland call their midday meal dinner and their evening meal supper. We missed several afternoon birthday parties, right? Right, there it is about our story today about communication. Lunch, if it's a small main meal, will be, lunch if small meal. Main meal will be dinner, whatever time you have it. Supper, if it's more of a snack or lightweight. She'd invite us over for dinner and we'd be like walking the dog at like 2. And she's like, I thought you guys were coming over for dinner. And you're like, we are. Yeah, because for you, you're thinking, 6 o'clock because you're coming over for dinner. But it's supper. And I still have to kind of correct myself. I'm still in that Southern California mode where it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, not breakfast, dinner, supper. And you had to make dinner after because you missed their dinner and you had to have your dinner. Too funny. All right, friends. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to get on with my chores. And I love you guys. And make sure you communicate well with those that you love. Make sure there's no misunderstandings. Communication is key. If you said something that was misinterpreted, make sure you fix that so feelings don't get hurt. Like that poor old lady that yelled at her husband and broke his spirit after 60 years when she didn't have to. So I have forgiven Jim for saying that the first face he thinks of in the morning is his dog. And I'm thankful for the fact that I married a man that loves animals because he has a kind heart. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow, 10:15, day 13 of our tea. I hope you guys have a great day. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a blessed day. Bye. I'm going to read these after I say goodbye or else I'll be on here forever. All right, friends. Bye-bye. End broadcast.